Recently, the Alec Baldwin case was dismissed by a judge after withheld evidence by the prosecution. This means we never got a verdict on whether Alec was innocent or guilty. So let's check out what happened. In 2021, while on set for a movie called Rust, Alec Baldwin fired a .45 Colt revolver that took the life of a 42-year-old Ukrainian cinematographer, Halyna Hutchins. The bullet went straight through her chest and then got lodged in the shoulder of the director, Joel Souza, where it was eventually removed as evidence. But who was responsible for this? How did a real bullet end up on a film set? Who brought it to the set? Who put it in the gun? Why didn't they check the gun? Was this intentional, or was it extreme negligence? Why does Alec say that he didn't pull the trigger? To answer these questions, we first need to know who was handling the weapons for the film. A person responsible for weapons on a film set is called the armorer. The armorer for Rust was 24-year-old Hannah Gutierrez-Reed, who was only brought into the industry by her stepfather, who was an experienced armorer in the industry. Rust was only the second film that she had worked on as the lead armorer. On her first film, The Old Way, several crew members complained about her handling of firearms. She once fired a weapon without warning and caused the lead actor Nicolas Cage to walk off the set in frustration. Hannah wasn't the only one responsible for weapons on the set. Prop master Sarah Zachary accidentally fired a revolver on the set sometime before the incident.
Thank you. Will you state your name for the record?
Sarah Zachary.
Were you employed on the set of the movie Rust?
Yes,
In what capacity?
I was the prop master.
Briefly, what does a prop master do?
A prop master is responsible for sourcing and providing production with anything that an actor interacts with during the time of filming. On another film, when I was the prop master, they couldn't find a armor for that set, so they just told me right away that I was going to be the armorer.
Let me be clear. Do you own guns?
No.
Have you ever shot a gun?
No.
This degree of incompetence on the set wasn't limited to only Hannah and Sarah. In the next clip, the director can be heard shouting "cut," and then Alec Baldwin decides to point the gun towards the crew and fire. Before we check out Alec's behavior specifically, let's look at more incompetence from the cast and crew.
State your full name for the record, please.
Brian W. Carpenter.
So I'm stopping that at 21 seconds. Do you see anything concerning in this video?
And the number one thing is muzzle discipline. That performer, that stunt performer, I'm assuming that's a stunt performer right there, has got what appears to be live weapons, and he's got zero muzzle discipline. He's holding the shotgun, and if you back it up to the beginning, he points it almost directly at, I believe it's Joel Souza, right at the front, or I'm not sure who that is, but he's handling that weapon. That weapon should be turned down at the ground, muzzle pointed down when he's carrying it, and his pistol should be holstered. I guess that's the young child actor right there. So these are just examples of muzzle discipline. You never let the muzzle of the weapon cover anything you're not willing to harm.
And I'm not particularly interested in that young man. And what was he doing?
He pointed it directly at the chest of the lady or the person in the white sweater, and then turned it around and pointed it at one of the other performers.
Well, we could see it down here. Yeah, let's see, going with him here, join him behind him. And then brothers come out.
By that same stunt performer is the gentleman in the hood. Walked by him, he had the muzzle pointed directly to his back. Knowing what we know now, and the reason we're here in court, is that there were live rounds on the set of Rust. So you maintain one of the first safety rules is treat all weapons as they are always loaded. And that's to mitigate any problem that might happen downstream. So you have to assume that there may have been live rounds in any of these firearms that we're watching in these videos. There were live rounds there, so imagine the concern that you would have knowing that at any point in time any of these handguns or long guns could have a live round in it. So then it makes it a lot more concerning when that double-barrel shotgun's pointed to that man's back.
Easy, Hollister. We got y'all coming with us now. And now you gotta fight your way free. So let go, get loose a little bit, sort of throw an elbow back toward him. Ooh, funky. Ooh,
got a little bite to him. Come on, little piggy.
Well, what do you see with regard to that shotgun right now?
It's pointed at the child, I say the young child actor, young actor.
Should the actors or stuntmen walk around with their live firearms in between takes?
No.
Four sounds? Are you gonna aim like that? Yeah. A little higher.
That was a 0.
Do you see Ms. Gutierrez there?
I did.
0.
What is Ms. Gutierrez doing?
She's holding that double-barrel shotgun pointed up at her neck and face.
Saturday night. Almost. A wire.
So like, careful with the human behind you. Gotcha. So you just shoot it like this, right? No.
And what are we doing here? State's Exhibit 155.
He actually did a 360-degree muzzle discipline breach on that one. So he went around in a full circle with the muzzle at everyone in the vicinity, and then he handed the weapon to the young actor.
Right there.
Right there. He's talking and discussing what he's doing and using his pistol as a pointing stick. Again, we have to assume all weapons are always loaded, and in this case, may well have been.
Now that you understand the kind of gun culture that was set by Hannah on the set of Rust, let's take a look at how Alec himself acted with guns on the set. Please try to remember that these clips are taken from the Hannah Gutierrez-Reed trial earlier this year, so the focus wasn't even put on Baldwin. If the Alec Baldwin trial had really gotten underway, we would have probably seen more evidence come out that shows his recklessness on set. Brian Carpenter would have likely been called by the prosecutors again to testify in the trial.
One more. I forgot the recoil stuff. No, right away. Let's reload.
Here we go. So, Halyna, hi.
How many movie sets do you think you've worked on in your career?
Hundreds.
That conduct that we're seeing on the part of Mr. Baldwin, is that typical conduct from an actor on a movie set?
No.
Why not?
Well, number one, he's basically instructing the armor how to do their job at that point, telling them that we should have had the gun a second reload, hurry up, give it to me, fast. This is that moment. This is that moment I spoke about earlier. This is that moment that you need to stop and say, no, I'm not going to hurry up, I'm going to slow down. And we don't need to be, passing off weapons this fast or loading guns this fast. This is creating an unsafe and nerve-wracking situation, to describe it in more layman's terms. Always on any kind of live training exercise, military training or whatnot, you don't want to put people in a nervous position.
No, just.
Yeah?
When you drop your arm, that means he's 10 feet away. I can't see how close he is, but I want to be almost up by the time he gets here.
No, I'm going to go into this.
Yeah.
Well, let me show you something. Hold on. Step back to your original mark. So 1,000, 2, 1,000, 3, I'm getting up.
Right.
Then when he drops his arm, Halyna get out. He drops his arm. That means Brady's close. I'm going to start to really get up.
Okay.
Do you see anything concerning here?
He's doing what we saw previously in one of the other videos with the stunt performer. He's using the weapon as a pointing stick, as if it's his finger.
And you've seen this video before.
I have.
And what is your understanding about what that gun's loaded with?
It's loaded with probably full flash blanks, but blanks.
Okay. When Mr. Baldwin behaves this way and is using the revolver as a pointer, what is the responsibility on the part of Ms. Gutierrez?
To intercede and correct any unsafe behavior. Now, obviously, again, we're talking about the nuances of doing it. I would start off pulling him aside or talking to him individually and say, if we could, let's be careful with that muzzle. Remember muzzle discipline. I even have a little thing that I talk to when I hand a weapon off to an actor, and it's what I used to say back in the day. I would say control, and the actors would have to repeat the word control to me. And by repetitively doing that, it becomes a mental training technique to teach them that they are now fully in control of that weapon, and their actions while they have it is on them. They are part of that other side of that coin we talked about. If moving past that, I was not getting any result on that, I would have to intercede in this on-camera moment or in rehearsal moment. And then from there, it just depends on whether or not they want to be safe on scene or they want to find somebody else.
Second, if I'm going to shoot right, you want to go on the other side of the camera? I don't want to shoot toward you. Okay, right here. Okay, I'm going to shoot close to you. Here we go. Set. Here we go. Ready. And action. Go! Motherfucker.
When you're on a movie set and you hear the word cut, is it important that the actors not continue to fire the guns?
Yes. And then when you say cut, everything stops, and it's not just from a creative standpoint, it's also from a safety standpoint. Keep in mind, you're dealing with stunts, special effects, explosives, etc., etc. So when the word cut is said, everything should cease immediately.
So in this instance, where Mr. Baldwin was firing the gun after the word cut, is there anything that you would have done?
I would file that under the category of going, as the old saying goes, off script. He went off script there and fired for whatever reason that I guess he felt he needed to, but I would have probably said something to him about that as well.
Alec played around with deadly weapons, acting like he's the boss of the set, being so careless about the safety of others that he eventually goes off script with the gun, fully cocked, pulls the trigger, and ends up killing someone. If the armorer wasn't doing her job properly, fair enough. She's in prison right now, she's faced her justice. Alec is a very experienced actor who's worked on many sets with guns, and worked on many sets with hardened and experienced armorers, not like Hannah. Surely being on this film set and observing the incompetence of Hannah would raise alarm bells in your mind. Wouldn't you notice that she's not doing her job? She blatantly mishandles weapons, holding them facing upwards at her head like a 5-year-old, and sometimes isn't present whatsoever. She doesn't correct any of the reckless behavior that some of these actors showed with weapons, instead asking the whole crew to move out of the way. She doesn't take any guns away from actors between sets, and nobody says a word when Alec fires a gun after the director says cut. Alec will definitely be familiar with safety protocols on film sets, but on the set of Rust it seemed like he enjoyed the carefree nature of it and just wanted to hurry up. Barking out orders like he's the director and armorer just compromised the dominance hierarchy and safety of the entire film. He's probably the most famous, richest person involved in the production, and nobody has the guts to actually do their job and tell him no. He's kind of like that big smelly kid at the playground whose parents let him do whatever he wants. The whole reason that Alec nearly faced an 18-month prison sentence is because of this reckless behavior. If he didn't act recklessly with guns, if he didn't go off script, if he didn't cock the hammer, if he didn't pull the trigger, then he wouldn't be at trial whatsoever. Even if the killing was part of a scene, let's say the director actually told Alec to point the gun right there and pull the trigger for a take or a rehearsal, then Alec wouldn't be liable for the death of Halyna whatsoever. Let's take a look at Alec's reaction after being told that Halyna died.
I do have some very unfortunate news to tell you.
What?
She didn't make it. Yeah. So Joel's still at the hospital, but the other person involved didn't make it. Sorry. I just didn't want you to hear it outside of here. Is there something we could do for you? Is that Jonah in it? What? Jonah, the one back there? Yeah, okay. Would you want Jonah in here with you? You wanna, what do you wanna do? Do you wanna make a call? You can sit.
We should go.
Are you guys needing a ride? Or are you comfortable? I think they've got their maybe. Are you comfortable driving though?
I want to go call my wife.
Of course, we could even give you privacy.
No, we're going to go.
Okay.
We're
Yeah.
going to go.
No, that's fine. Can I get you more water or anything? Okay. Can I sit you guys a few minutes in here?
I find it really hard to believe that Alec was shocked by the death of Halyna, since he cocked the hammer, pulled the trigger, and then he had the gun pointed right at Halyna's chest. He then saw 2 people go down and heard Joel screaming in pain. Would you be shocked to hear that someone died after you shot them in the chest from a couple of feet away? Let me know your thoughts on the whole situation and if you think Alec deserved to be sentenced. My opinion definitely changed during the research for this video. It's tragic that Halyna is no longer with us, but it's also tragic that Alec will never face justice for what happened. His case was dismissed with prejudice, which means he can never be charged again. I wish we could have seen the conclusion of his trial, whether it meant he was found innocent or guilty. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe for videos like this every single Wednesday.